Good day, everyone, and welcome back to Learn English with Blaine. And this is your beginner dictation number 110. And we are going to continue our look at modals to give advice. Do you have your pen and paper ready? Because remember that you are going to listen and then write what you hear. Now remember that there are 6 different types of modals. And in this video, we are going to focus on modals to give advice. Okay, so in this video, we are going to focus on modals to give advice. More videos on modal verbs will be coming very, very soon. But in this video, there will be 7 dictations. And this is your dictation number 1. And as usual, I'm going to say it once all the way through, and then I will repeat it 2 more times. Okay, so this is our dictation number 1. You should be very careful when crossing the street. Full stop. You should be very careful when crossing the street. When crossing the street. Full stop. You should be very careful when crossing the street. Full stop. You should be very careful when crossing the street. Now, in this example, the modal verb is should. You is the subject. And then, of course, we have the main verb. The main verb always comes after the modal. So it's you should be. All right, let's go on to our next dictation. Dictation number 2. Dictation number 2. This food is delicious! Exclamation. We ought to come here more often. Full stop. This food is delicious! Exclamation. This food is delicious! Exclamation. We ought to come here more often. Full stop. This food is delicious! Exclamation. We ought to come here more often. Full stop. This food is delicious. We ought to come here more often. Now, when we look at this dictation, we can see that the modal verb, this is actually what we call a semi-modal verb because it's got a to on it. It's called semi-modal, but we've got the subject, we've got the modal verb, and then we have the main verb that comes right after. Okay, so we're going to move on to our next dictation. Dictation number 3. You ought to be careful where you park your car at night. Full stop. You ought to be careful. You ought to be careful where you park your car at night. Your car at night. Full stop. You ought to be careful where you park your car at night. Full stop. You ought to be careful where you park your car at night. Okay, so in this example again, we've got the subject, we've got the modal verb, and then the main verb. Subject, modal verb, main verb. And just as a reminder, when we say you ought to, that really means you should. So we can also say you should be careful where you park your car at night. Okay, so remember everyone, if you have any questions about that verb, about that modal verb, just leave your question in the comment section. Okay, so let's move on to our next dictation. Dictation number 4. Dictation number 4. You should be careful near the edge of the canyon. So I'm going to repeat that. They should be careful near the edge of the canyon. Full stop. They could fall! Exclamation. Okay, so now I will repeat. They should be careful. They should be careful near the edge of the canyon. Near the edge of the canyon. Full stop. They could fall! Exclamation. They could fall! Exclamation. They should be careful near the edge of the canyon. They could fall! Exclamation. They should be careful near the edge of the canyon. They could fall. Now here, when we look at this one, when we talk about the modals to give advice, we can see here that we've got should. So they should be. So again, we see the subject, we see the modal verb, and then we see the main verb that comes after it. They should be. And remember that instead of saying they should be, you can also say they ought to be. They ought to be. So should and ought to are two modal verbs that we can use interchangeably. Okay, so let's move on to dictation number 5. Dictation number 5. If I were you, comma, I would be a little more careful on the escalator. Full stop. If I were you, comma, if I were you, comma, I would be a little more careful on the escalator. On the escalator. If I were you, comma, I would be a little more careful on the escalator. Full stop. If I were you, I would be a little more careful on the escalator. Now, when we look at this example, at this dictation, we can see now this is another one of those kind of like a semi-modals. So it begins with if I were you, and then we've got the subject, and then we've got, this is the real modal verb right here. I would be a little more careful on the escalator. This is the modal verb with the main verb. And then quite often this modal verb goes with this. These two things can go together in a lot of cases. Not always, you can use it or not, but this gives it a little bit more meaning if you add this expression before the modal verb, separated by the subject. Again, this is what we call a conditional sentence, And we'll be talking about that more in a future video as well. But for now, let's go on to our next dictation. Dictation number 6. Dictation number 6. If you want to save money at the mall, comma, you should go shopping with Jacinta. Full stop. If you want to save money at the mall. If you want to save money at the mall, comma, you should go shopping with Jacinta. With Jacinta. Full stop. If you want to save money at the mall, comma, you should go shopping with Jacinta. Full stop. If you want to save money at the mall, comma, you should go shopping with Jacinta. So in this example, the modal verb is should. So we've got you should go shopping. You should go shopping. So here we see the subject. Here we have the modal verb to give advice. The main verb, go, and then we've got the gerund. These two kind of go together. Go shopping. You should go shopping. Okay, so let's move on to our last dictation. Dictation number 7. So again, this is the last dictation of this video. The doctor told Anna that she should get her eyes checked. Full stop. The doctor told Anna that she should get her eyes checked. She should get her eyes checked. The doctor told Anna that she should get her eyes checked. Full stop. The doctor told Anna that she should get her eyes checked. And when we look at this dictation, the modal verb here is should. She should get. So here we've got the subject, the modal verb, and again the main verb right after that. So just as a quick review, we can see that there are several different words that we can use, several different modals that we can use when giving advice to someone. So we can say you could, you should, you ought to, and then we can say if I were you. If I were you, I would. So again, this one is the would is really the modal verb. But this is kind of like an expression that we can use when giving advice. Notice I've had many requests to do dictation videos and explanation videos about various modal verbs. So I'm currently working on those in addition to a post on my website. So in the description box below, I will leave a link to my website, which I will be adding more content to in the coming weeks. And again, thank you so much everyone for watching this video. I do appreciate each and every one of you. And remember, leave your comments or questions in the comment section. I always respond to those. And if you like this video, please remember to share, like, and subscribe. Again, thank you so much everyone, and I will see you soon in the next video.